Everybody, welcome back to the class of happiness. We are in module number 2. In the last module number 1, we have taken the idea of journey to self, where we have understood a closer reality, a closer call to who are we, who am I, why are we here, and all the closest aspect, because happiness is an identification reality. If I want to say in that language what is happiness, in our last module what we discussed before we move on to the this module, happiness was a kind of an identification. Whatever you are identified with, that is going to make you happy or unhappy. Wrong identifications and actions towards that can make you unhappy. Identifications which are right and you go towards that, so you will considering that as a happiness, even if it is going to make you a little bit more uh, stressed, having more kind of problems, but then you will go more into it. You will like to go more deeper into it. You would like to go that this is my only path. Now in this module number 2, which we are going to start, which is understanding happiness. This is part number 2 for this subject, which has the equal weightage. In this module, we are having three subcomponents: A, B, and C. Definition of happiness as life satisfaction. In this, we are going to touch the happiness as a broader concept as life satisfaction. Number 2 is elements of happiness. We are going to cover what constitutes the happiness. And in number 3, we are going to cover some theories of happiness which are known to us. Now let's move on to the first part of this module, which is we need to understand how we define happiness. In the last module, we have covered about the idea about the self, how the self is moving. But then now we have to understand what is happiness from a layman perspective and from an advanced perspective of a satisfaction. This happy word came from the word hap, or you can say this word is the other word called as lucky. Some people do say that I am lucky. So those people who are lucky, they consider themselves as happy. So this hap word is the old Norse and the old English root of happiness, and it also means chance. So in the French language, jour, we say bonjour, bonjour, good fortune. So it is also in that same language. It is coming up as a fortune, as a kind of a luck. In terms of a German language, we have the word Glück, which to this day means both happiness and chance. As we see in the current language, what we are using, English, happiness, normally we think in terms of a demand. We think in terms of a gift. So yes, the word was matching. The word has essential roots or the fragrance of the root word hap, glück, Ur. So these are the words which indicates that happiness, people perceive it to be a kind of a luck or a chance. This is one meaning. Oxford Dictionary says the state of being happy is happiness. Means now this is something like saying how you can be in that state of being happy. It also means feeling or showing pleasure or contentment. Whenever you are eating a food or ice cream or watching a movie, you have a kind of a pleasure feeling. Watching even a horror movie is a kind of a joy for few people. So any kind of a pleasure that you derive from any action, this is a kind of a feeling of happiness. A global assessment of life and all its facets. When you assess your life overall, when you assess your life overall, and you want to give a meaning to it, and you want to give a label to it, and you want to give a ranking, a kind of a score to it, your overall happiness, overall life going on. If somebody asks you how is your overall life, so that kind of judgment, that kind of insight that you are having, this is also a kind of a meaning of happiness. People will keep on giving the definitions of happiness. It will vary from culture to culture, it will vary from gender to gender, it will vary from community to community, from culture to culture. That is a recollection of past emotional experiences. Just close your eyes. The moment you close your eyes, your mind takes you back either in the past or in the future. But experiences essentially means that you are going in the past. So if you close your eyes and you want to see how you are, how was your life, actually you would be playing a movie of something. Your past will be moving like a rewind. So you would be having your life being in a rewind mode, and you would be having a kind of a summary of your life, a kind of a recollection, and then how you perceive your past. Okay, worse, nice. So whatever you are going to perceive, so this is a kind of a judgment you are coming out, whether you were happy or whether you are not happy. Next one, an aggregation of multiple emotional reactions across time. So each movement, even watching a movie, meeting somebody, drinking water, going in a park, going for a ride, going for a lesson, going to a university, everything, somehow each moment you are adding up, each moment you are getting some kind of experience of happiness or unhappiness. And this aggregation of all the moments, aggregation of all the moments of your happiness or unhappiness, and you kind of sum up like a sigma formula that we use in the mathematics, that we sum a b c d and all that, and we come up to a summary of that. That's some formula we also use in the excel. So it is an aggregation of all the multiple emotional reactions across time. If we want to go towards if we want to go in the philosophical side, how the philosophers have said something about the happiness since the ancient times. So we have various definitions, we have various insights which are full of experiences, which some of you might be also able to have it, some of you will also be able to generate it if you just reconsider all your insights together. First insight is coming up is happiness is equal to virtue. When I say virtue, it is a kind of a positive side. When we say virtue, it is a kind of a value. When we say virtue, somebody say honesty is a virtue. Somebody says community brotherhood is a virtue. What is that you are valued for? So people, those who have virtues, they are considered to be more happy than somebody who is not having a virtue. Happiness is heaven. Somebody says happiness is heaven, people are even willing to die to go to heaven. People are doing some actions in this life because they have been told if you do this kind of an action, if you sacrifice something in this life, you are going to do you are going to reach to heaven, next to the God's kingdom, or you can say in the God's kingdom. So people are having their own perceptions, what they how they relate to that. Happiness is pleasure, having a good food, having a good sex life, having a good movie, having a good clothes, having a good wine. What is that level of uh, pleasure that you extract from that? This people consider to be also a source of happiness. If you have an animal at home, if you have a pet at home, you would know what it means to be a puppy. Some people are living like in a comfort zone. Some people are having almost no issues at their own home because they are being considered as a puppy of the home. So they are living a kind of a controlled environment where they have not seen any kind of a harsh realities if exist outside, if you think so. So people think happiness is something like a warm puppy that you cuddle with a puppy. Some people want to say happiness embodies the summum bonum, the highest good philosophy, that this is the end result, this is the end result of living a good life. It is not that you can be happy now. People think this is a kind of a summary that you can conclude at the end of the life. Some people think happiness is macarious and oblivious. We covered in the very beginning the normal meaning of the word happiness came from the word hap. So you are blessed, you are lucky, you have a good chance. So these were the kind of philosophies which were coming from the ancient times. So happiness is a collection of things whose importance for survival and reproduction. If somebody, even the kings, those who were marrying many queens, they want to marry more and more just because of the one idea that they want a son. The idea of having a son from the queen is not a kind of a gender issue, it is a kind of a extension of their own empire. So whatever work they are doing as a king, if they don't have a son, all their efforts would be just transferred to somebody else. So that is why they have this kind of action also. So this is a kind of a post-humus, you can say, survival plan, that if you have a son in those ancient times, so they were thinking that they will be able to transfer all their property and all that. So this is one kind of understanding that the importance of happiness. Even if you want to read some reports on the happiness countries of the world, so there were surveys being done where based on which people were able to conclude which country is the most happy country. So even in that it was found out of 41 nations on a 7-point scale, where 7 indicated extraordinary, important and valuable, respondent rated happiness as 6.39 on an average. It simply means people were valuing the importance of happiness in one's life. No matter what action you do, no matter what situation you are, no matter what country you belong, no matter what culture you belong, this is the domain that you want it the most. Because to having an average of 6.39 is a indication that almost majority of them wanted that. Because what is the point of having a good car, what is the point of having this if you are not happy, because you will not be able to relish that. Then we have elements of happiness. In this sub part of the elements of happiness, we would be covering in detail in the class about what constitutes happiness. So we have taken some elements from different aspects of the life and official reports. The first one we have taken up from the World Happiness Report 2021, where they have indicated 6 components which based on which they have made the happiness report. This also includes the impact of corona. So they were able to understand even in the corona time how the people were, how the countries were doing, how fairly they were able to retain the happiness of the citizens of their own country. So if you want to see the 6 points, the first one is GDP per capita. They wanted to understand how GDP is doing for each country and GDP influencing the happiness. The countries having less GDP, were they more happy, or the GDP having high, are they more happy? Number two, social support. How the societies are supporting, how the communities are responding to each other's pain. Are they coming forward to solve the problems? Are they shying away? Are they just leaving the society on their own? Are you feeling alone? Is this a component of their happiness? Yes, some societies have shown their sense of responsibilities, and it has been found societies having high social support, they are more happy, they show more happiness. Number three, healthy life expectancy at birth. Yes, people want to not born as a unhealthy child. So healthy life expectancy at birth, it means once a child is born, there was a time when a child is born and the life expectancy of that child was very less. But nowadays, once a child is born, people expect the child is going to live his full life, whether it is 70 years, 80 years, 90 years, depending on the cultures. In say Japan, we have a idea of 100 years is a not sometimes goes normal. Even in the Russia, we keep on hearing there are many citizens who have crossed the age of 130. There was a time in India in almost 1947 when the age group of when the life expectancy of Indian was not more than 28, something like that. But now with time, the health has improved, and then we have moved towards the age expectancy of say even 65 and 70. This is now going average. Freedom to make life choices, how much freedom you have to make your own life choices, what to buy, where to go, what to speak, what freedom of rights you have depending on the culture. This also constitute a part of happiness. Generosity, how much charity you are doing for the people who are downtrodden, how much philanthropy people you have in that culture. So higher philanthropic people are able to generate more happiness for the society because one person can do more than thousands together in terms of the wealth the person has accumulated. Perceptions of corruption, the people who perceive high corruption in the society, they are bound to be unhappy as compared to somebody who perceive less corruption. So number one country which was in the index is Finland. Our Indian country, uh, ranking has gone to 139 out of 149 countries who were surveyed for this report. And if I say to you, the countries, our neighboring countries, China, Bangladesh, and Pakistan, if they have the higher index of happiness, does 139 rank feels more unhappier if I would not have given this? So, as we covered in the understanding, happiness is relative. So, yes, this also matters. What next are the categories of the happiness, or you can say the further elements we will discuss also in detail. It are three levels: physical, psychological, and the social health. This is one way to understand the elements of happiness. When we say physical in terms of body mass index, it means how much nutritions you have, what kind of food you are eating, what kind of body structure you have. A body which is fit, the body which is not healthy, chances are very difficult for the healthy mind to be in that body. So this is one element which we have to judge. Even we heard about the various schemes that Indian government offers, whether we say the midday meal schemes for the people, when we want to promote education in the system, because we were observing the students were not joining the schools from the lower segment of the strata of society because they were unable to fetch food, because the parents were putting them into kind of a work on the field because they have to earn for the food. So they were giving this kind of a facility because if you don't have a food, chances are there you will not go for further higher levels of things. Number two is the mental health. Some countries, they prefer to talk about their mental illness. Some countries avoid talking about that. So we can say, even in India, if you have a broken bone, you would like to show off, you would like to have an autograph on your fractured, or you can say that bandages. But if you have a broken thought, you don't want to tell to anybody. So depending on the culture, it varies. What is the mental health of the individuals? Social health simply means the economic and social conditions and the distributions of the income in the country. If the gap between the rich and the poor is very high, we have a word called as Gini index as per the economics. So if you have the higher gap between the rich and the poor, the social health is not fine. In the last sub part of this thing is the theories of happiness. We would be covering various theories of happiness. So we have philosophical theories, psychological theories, even specific theories of authentic happiness. We will have another theory of Casio model. We would be covering the PERMA model. So among all the possible theories of happiness that we have, we would be covering few. This will give a deeper insight on how the big thinkers or the famous thinkers or the famous statesmen or the how the happiness was perceived across ancient times to the contemporary times, and what we who are in the pursuit of happiness, as the subject also says, the pursuit of happiness, how we are going to move in the direction. So each theory is going to talk about more in detail in the class. Psychological theories are nothing but the theories and the mental models. Authentic happiness is a kind of a formula on happiness which we are going to decode in the class. So H stands for happiness. So how the happiness could be construed in a formula. This is a kind of a theory. We have a famous Casio model. So in terms of quality life, so this Casio model talks about the quality life, how we can understand the happiness in terms of a quality life theory. Then we have a PERMA model. PERMA model is the latest model. We would be covering this also in the class. Each theory has its own pros and cons. Each theory has its own plus and minus. An awareness of all the possible theories that we can do in the subject in this session, it would be fantastic thing. There would be few people who are critics of happiness. When we say critics of happiness, it simply means they have some insights that somehow happiness is very difficult to achieve. They are saying it's an ideal state, like Nietzsche, Friedrich Nietzsche, who is the famous philosopher, who said described happiness as an ideal state of laziness. It means when someone says I am happy, people are assuming he must be or she must be a lazy guy. So he don't have or she don't have much in their life, so he is just happy. This is one philosophy. This is one understanding. A kind of critics of happiness who says you should not be happy. Happiness should not be your goal of life. Slavoj Zizek also said, being truly happy is a matter of opinion and not of truth. So, what does this simply mean is it's okay to have an opinion, but this is not a reality. If you ask anybody, are you happy? They can give their own thought processes, they can give their opinions. So, what if they say to be, I'm happy? You can take their opinion, but you should know they are not happy. They must be having their own unhappiness, but they are having an opinion, they are covering up many things. Another critic of happiness was Immanuel Kant. He said the concept of happiness is such an indeterminate one that even though everyone wishes to attain happiness, yet he can never say definitely and consistently what it is that he really wishes and wills. This simply means that he is saying that it is impossible to find out how much happy I am, whether I am happy or I am even not even happy. You can say it once, you can say it twice, but it's something that you cannot say consistently about the same happiness. Are you talking about the same happiness? Are you talking about the happiness keeps on changing forms? There is no way that we can determine on that level. With this, we come to the end of this module number 2. Thank you and have a happy day ahead once again. And we see you in the next module. Thank you so much.